A 2025 randomized controlled trial published in Nature Scientific Sleep gave 155 adults with poor sleep 250 milliliters of a $8 mineral supplement for 4 weeks, and their deep, slow-wave sleep rose from 10.1 to 16.5 minutes, a result melatonin has never replicated in a controlled trial. The mechanism is a receptor pathway melatonin doesn't touch. Sleep gets harder after 60, and most women reach for the obvious fix. But melatonin is a timing hormone. It nudges your body clock. It doesn't build the architecture of deep sleep. What researchers at Leibniz University Hanover published in Nature and Science of Sleep changes the conversation entirely. The supplement is magnesium bisglycinate, and the science behind why it works specifically for women over 60 is more compelling than the headline. Here is what the label on most melatonin bottles won't tell you. By age 60, your body already produces roughly 50 to 60% less melatonin than it did at 20. Supplementing sounds logical until you read the dose. Most drugstore melatonin contains 3 to 10 milligrams. The evidence-backed therapeutic range is 0.3 to 1 milligram. You are almost certainly taking 10 to 30 times more than your brain can use. That overdose doesn't give you more sleep. It suppresses your natural rhythm the following night, creating a dependency cycle that worsens the problem it was meant to solve. And here is the critical limitation no one mentions. Melatonin is a darkness signal, not a sedative. It tells your brain when night begins. It does not control how deeply you sleep once you get there. That is an entirely different biological system, and that system has a different key. The sleep that matters most is called slow-wave sleep, stage N3, the phase your brain uses to clear metabolic waste, consolidate memory, and repair tissue. It is the most melatonin-independent phase of the night, and it is the first to go as you age. EEG studies on older adults consistently show diminished slow-wave sleep, reduced sleep continuity, and more nighttime awakenings, none of which melatonin addresses. What does govern slow-wave sleep? Largely a neurotransmitter called GABA, the brain's primary brake pedal. GABA quiets neuronal firing, lowers core body temperature, and opens the gate into deep sleep. To produce and use GABA efficiently, your brain needs a cofactor that most women over 60 are quietly running low on. That cofactor is magnesium, and the shortage is more common than almost any doctor checks for. In a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published August 2025 in Nature and Science of Sleep, researchers at Leibniz University Hanover enrolled 155 healthy adults with self-reported poor sleep quality. One group received 250 milligrams of elemental magnesium daily, delivered as magnesium bisglycinate. The other received a placebo. After 4 weeks, the magnesium group showed a statistically significant reduction in insomnia severity index scores compared to placebo. Critically, those participants with the lowest baseline dietary magnesium intake, which describes the majority of older adults, showed the largest improvements. That is not a side note. It is the mechanism. You cannot fix a deficit you never had. For women over 60 who are already low in magnesium, this supplement is not adding something foreign. It is restoring something the body lost. But the sleep findings are only half the story. What the researchers also noted about cognition changes the stakes entirely. Here is where magnesium bisglycinate separates itself completely from melatonin. A 2024 meta-analysis of melatonin supplementation in menopausal women found no significant improvement in sleep quality, mood, or cognitive function across its pooled data. Melatonin simply does not reach the memory support pathway. Magnesium does. Analysis of older adults aged 60 and above in the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, one of the largest nutritional databases in the world, found that higher magnesium intake is independently associated with better performance on cognitive function tests. A 17-year prospective cohort study of over 1,000 adults aged 60 and above found that greater dietary magnesium intake was associated in observational data with sharper cognitive trajectories across the follow-up period. This is not melatonin territory. Melatonin signals bedtime. Magnesium runs the hardware, the GABA receptors, the NMDA channels, the neuronal repair cycles that slow-wave sleep depends on. One is a clock signal, the other is infrastructure. Magnesium deficiency in this specific population is not random, it is structural. Estrogen plays a direct role in magnesium regulation. As estrogen declines through and after menopause, magnesium balance shifts and the body's ability to retain it weakens. Simultaneously, age-related changes in gut absorption mean less dietary magnesium reaches the bloodstream, even when intake looks adequate on paper. Add the fact that modern agricultural soil depletion has quietly reduced magnesium content in fruits and vegetables over recent decades, and you have a perfect storm. Less coming in, less being absorbed, and a physiological demand that hasn't changed. The recommended daily allowance for women over 51 is 320 milligrams. National surveys show that the majority of older American women fall short of that threshold. The gap is not dramatic on any single day, but compounded over months and years, it rewires how deeply you sleep every night. Not all magnesium supplements are equal, and this distinction could determine whether you feel anything at all. Magnesium oxide, the cheapest, most common form on pharmacy shelves, is poorly absorbed. It acts primarily as a laxative, delivering little magnesium to the bloodstream or brain. Magnesium bisglycinate is a chelated form, magnesium bound to two molecules of the amino acid glycine. That binding does two things. First, it dramatically improves absorption through the gut wall. Second, glycine itself is a separate sleep-promoting compound. It activates glycine receptors in the brain that independently lower core body temperature and reduce sleep onset time, the same mechanism targeted by expensive pharmaceutical sleep formulations. You are getting two active agents for the price of one. A standard 200 to 400 milligram dose of elemental magnesium from Bisglycinate costs roughly $8 per month. You take it 60 minutes before bed. Allow 7 to 14 days for full effect. This is a restoration, not a sedative. Magnesium bisglycinate is not a sleeping pill. It does not sedate. What users and researchers consistently describe is a shift in sleep quality rather than sleep quantity. Less nighttime waking, deeper rest, and clearer cognition the following morning. The EEG data on older adults is striking. In participants aged 60 to 80, magnesium supplementation was associated with an increase in measured slow-wave sleep from 10.1 minutes to 16.5 minutes, a meaningful shift in the most restorative phase of the night. Two safety notes every woman over 60 should hear. The tolerable upper intake level for supplemental magnesium is 350 milligrams per day to avoid digestive effects. Stay within that range. And magnesium can interact with certain medications, including some antibiotics and diuretics, so a conversation with your doctor before starting is the right move. The bottom line, melatonin patches over a timing problem. Magnesium bisglycinate addresses the underlying architecture, and now there is a controlled trial to back it.